Hello everyone and welcome to the Plasmatech Vanguard overview, the 4.0 Plasmatech Vanguard overview. We're here with our Plasma Vanguard. Had a go at Plasma tonight, had a little bit of a go. Still haven't used it in a progression environment, but used it in a few operations now, and I have to say, in terms of damage output, I think Tactics is probably the superior spec. Certainly for single target, Tactics is definitely ahead in terms of its damage output. For Cleave though, this is probably still the Cleave spec in the game. So if we're doing bosses that have a lot of ads that have to be cleaved down, fights like the Revenite Commanders again springs to mind, this is the spec. But let's get into it. Let's go and see what it's all about. Let's look at what's new in 4.0. Okay, so we've got our Hazardous Heat, level 64 passive. Increases the critical chance of fire pulse by 10%. So yeah, that's a thing. 10% crit chance on fire pulse. Kind of irrelevant, really, that when you get your 6-piece set bonus, which we'll talk about later on, which makes fire pulse an auto crit, essentially. So yeah, you've got crit chance of fire pulse, 10%. Looking forward to that. You've leveled up. Took you 5 minutes to get from 60 to 64 at least, and you know, 10% extra crit chance. There you go. We'll have that. You know, we'd rather have it than not have it, but it's just not very exciting. So what's it all about? This is the dot spec of the Vanguard. Basically, is all about getting your dots up, your Plasmatize, and your Incendiary round. You also get your nice Shock Strike here. Deals quite a decent amount of damage. Deals the damage, and it does extra elemental damage. Elemental damage is quite important to the spec. Also makes your high impact bolt automatically crit as well. So keeping the dots on the target is the key here, because targets take more damage when they're burning. Okay, when they're can't find the thing. Let's regenerate 2 cells. High impact bolt. Blah blah blah. Well, plasma cell is active. Of course, it's going to be active in this one. Ion pulse, explosive surge, pulse generator. Increase the damage of your next pulse cannon. So yeah, pulse cannon is useful here. That increases elemental damage reduction. That's our fire pulse. Critical strike. This is the thing that's been nerfed, is plasmatic assault. This was 20% in 3.0. Increases the critical damage bonus of pulse cannon, shock strike, plasmatize, and fire pulse by 10%. Cut in half. Absolutely cut in half right now. You've also got Rain of Fire, which spreads your dots. It spreads your Incendiary round. Okay, so your Incendiary round is one of your primary dots. 15 seconds it lasts. Adrenaline Rush is active. You got those more defensive things. So yeah, there we go. That is our... I can't find the thing that tells you. Increase damage dealt by Plasma Cell by 30%. Increase the chance to be triggered by 10%. Plasma Cell is the cell we're going to be in for this one. Again, it gives our things a chance to do an extra dot damage. 25% rifle attacks. Okay, so mostly high impact bolt really is going to be a real rifle attack. Hammer shot we are going to use occasionally, but everything else is going to be tech. In terms of our utilities, I like battlefield training. Again, increase movement speed by 15%. Muzzle logs, again, gives us extra range. 2 meters of extra range. For what was it? Ion pulse is tactical surge is the other thing from tactic specs. So again, gives us that extra 2 meters of range, which gives us that bit more flexibility. At least I like that. Again, more range, it's good generally. Reflective armor I quite like. Again, when Into the Fray is triggered, it deals extra damage to the attacker if the attacker was within 10 meters. Generally, we're going to be within 10 meters of our target most of the time. Again, we are primarily a melee class after all. Neural delay is the new one again. Our neural jolt, which is our taunt, slows the target by 50% for 6 seconds. Not really for PvE. There is another one. Iron Will is the only other one. Or Sharp Satchel really. Iron Will reduces the cooldown of Tenacity, which is our breakout stun, and reduces the cooldown of Hold the Line as well by 10 seconds. Bear in mind, Hold the Line's cooldown is up to 45 seconds, so you can reduce it as a Vanguard back down to 35 seconds. It was increased from 30 seconds. Also, Sharp Satchel increases our explosive surge damage by 25%. If we are doing a lot of cleave, then we will be using explosive surge, because again it procs our pulse cannon. You get pulse generator, so 25% extra damage. If we're going to be doing sustained cleave, then is can be very useful as well. But I'd always take battlefield training. Movement speed is damage. Okay, gets you to the target quicker, gets you out of things quicker. It's also pretty nice. Muzzle logs, again, increases the radius of explosive surge as well. But I like the 2-meter range increase. Just means that we can use our ion pulse tends to be our kind of go-to if there's nothing else to press and we're out of range. Gives us 12 meters instead of 10s. It just gives us that little bit more flexibility. It means we can use it sooner as well. If we get while we're out of range of bosses, so that's pretty nice. Masterful, we have our new one. Stealth Scan increases the movement speed of all allies within the scan area, excluding ourselves, by 50% as long as they remain in it, and 6 seconds after it expires or they leave the area. Depends who we're going with, really. If we have a Sentinel who has Transcendence, then no, we're not going to take this. Okay, if we're one of our other DPS is a Sentinel, then we're not going to go with this one, just simply because it's just better that the Sentinel uses Transcendence. Really, it's just more of a speed. If you don't have a Sentinel in your group and you're doing things like Underlurker, hard mode, can be useful. You can use our Stealth Scan. There's a Stealth Scan there. Just drop it. The only problem with it is you have to drop it in the right spot to get it, and they'll get it for 6 seconds after they leave it as well. So if you just drop it, the raid tends to be bunched up on Underlurker. You could drop it and it gets people to rocks faster. So it does have a use. More of a PvP usage though as well. It's not too bad in PvP as well. The mandatory one is Sonic Rebounder. Again, if you're doing Underlurker, this is again Vanguard. You bring a Vanguard to Underlurker is always worthwhile. Bringing one Vanguard and one Sentinel, although we can take the place of a Sentinel with surveyed terrain. We can again use that as well. It is a nice little passive movement increase. The cooldown on it is it's only 20 seconds. No, that's hold on. Yeah, 19.5 seconds. 20 seconds is the cooldown on it. Couldn't see for the microphone there. So Sonic Rebounder is the requirement. Again, generally tends to be a choice between Advance the Line or Electro Shield. Electro Shield, if we're taking constant damage, then having Electro Shield is quite useful. Again, Underlurker, you could make an argument for Electro Shield. If you are healing with a Sentinel, you can take it, because again, if you're struggling for DPS on the ads, a little bit of extra damage when you pop up your reactive shield, which is your main defensive cooldown, and just does damage to targets that attack you. If you're not going to be getting attacked, then kind of useless, really. There's nothing else I really want to take. Frontline defense, if we're doing Draxus, reduces the cooldown of a Riot Strike by 2 seconds. So Gate Commander Draxus, we're interrupting those ads. It just gives us a 10-second Riot Strike cooldown. Again, we have to interrupt the Mass Affliction. Again, we want to interrupt that. So also useful if you're doing Jarg and Sorno. If you're on Sorno, you'll be on Sorno as the melee DPS. Sorno does do a heal that you want to interrupt. So frontline defense, keep it in mind. Quite useful. Heroic, our new ability, Blitz, activating Storm, grants Blitz, increases our movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. It can have the duration refreshed while it can be useful on fights like Underlurker. Again, when we blitz to the ads, it is quite nice because we will have it up and having that 30% movement speed because we will be constantly being attacked. Again, Underlurker hard mode movement speed is a big thing. We do have Hold the Line as well to purge our movement impairing effects. We can combine this with Blitz as well, which is pretty nice. We will be constantly getting attacked on Lurker, so it will be up. So it's gonna, if we're attacked, its duration is refreshed while we're being attacked. Okay, so it will be up for quite a bit on that. Again, we want to be using that. So re-energizers is pretty decent. Reserve Power Cell is activated. It recharges 10 energy cells over the next 5 seconds. So Reserve Power Cell is the ability that it makes your next ability cost no energy, basically. So we want to use it on a channeled, either pulse cannon or mortar volley, generally, is to get the best use of it, because these are 2.92 3 second channel time. So for 3 seconds we're regenning it, we're not spending any energy, so it's regenning energy. And also for the 5 seconds we get 10 extra energy cells. It's not huge in plasma. It is mandatory in tactics, because tactics energy management is an issue. But again, if we're doing some cleave, we do run low on energy, so it is nice to have that there while we're doing that. Again, I like guard cannon. Again, damaging the target with our shoulder cannon missiles heals us for 5% of our total health. Okay, which is quite nice. This one we can only have, we can only have 4 shoulder missiles. In this one we load up our shoulder missile here. I think it's only 4 we get. We do get 7 in tactic specs. It is more useful there. Battle focus is another one you can take. Again, increases your damage reduction by 5% while ion cell's not active, which isn't here. We've got plasma cell, obviously, for Plasmatech. It's fairly simple, really. There you go. Easy to figure out which cell we should be in. Again, it's a 2-minute cooldown, battle focus, and we only generally pop it when we're doing offensively, because it's quite a nice offensive. Increases our crit chance by 25%, which is less useful in this one. Charge the line, again, is useful on Underlurker. Again, hold the line increases our movement speed by an additional 45%. So if we're doing Underlurker, we can always take Iron Will, advance the line, and charge the line, and we can just have increased duration of hold the line, increase speed of hold the line, and reduce the cooldown of hold the line. So you see, hold the line is very, very useful for us. Efficient tools, increase the range of harpoon, shoulder cannon, not really for PvE. Emergency stims, if we are being stunned, a lot of the scripted stuns, it can't be used on the Annihilation Droid, for example, which is a scripted stun that operation bosses use. Paralytic Augs, not really. Increase the stun duration of Cryo Grenade. Again, it's more of a PvP thing here. But we'll take a look at the rotation. What is our priority? Our priority is fairly simple. Keep your dots up. Okay, take a look at gearing actually first before we take a look at the rotation, because it plays into our rotation actually. Your priority is, of course, to hit 110% accuracy. It doesn't really matter, these both the same scale, so it's 10% you're looking for, or 9% if you have the companion buff. Okay, so it's I have 4 pieces of gear. I have the boots, the gloves, and 2 implants, and 1 augment here. I've got the 1208 augment right here. In terms of that, your next priority is to get the 6-piece set bonus. Okay, bear in mind the 2-piece, very, very good. Again, shock strike increases damage dealt by 2% for 15 seconds, quite nice. 4-piece, who cares? Okay, shock strike reduces its energy cell cost by 2. Who gives a shit, really? It's kind of useless. The 6-piece is very, very useful in this spec. Using our where does it say? Jeez, I can't even read that. I hate the fact it's Ion Pulse. There it is. Activating Ion Pulse grants Combat Tech's critical bonus. Makes our next Fire Pulse be an automatic critical hit. Okay, Cell Burst is what we use in the tactic specs. So our next Fire Pulse will automatically crit and it occurs every minute. Cannot occur more than once every minute. So basically every minute you're going to get an auto crit Fire Pulse. So it kind of makes this a bit more useless, really. Increase the critical chance by 10%. Your next priority then is crit. Okay, we want a decent amount of crit, 40% ideally. I do have 41% in tactic spec, that's why it's down at 39. Crit multiplier, again, it's not the hugest of things. Crit multiplier, again, we want to have at least 40% crit and 70% crit multiplier as the target. Alacrity, we probably want about 3%. I have 1 piece with alacrity in it. and 1 alacrity augment. I just augmented that headpiece for alacrity. Again, all the headpieces have alacrity in it, so we might as well have it there. You can add more alacrity and a bit less crit if you want, because what alacrity does, it speeds up your dot ticks as well, so being a dot spec does benefit quite nicely from alacrity. Other than that, relics, I've gone for the PvP ones. Belt and bracers, the easy 2-piece set bonus, get the 204 ones. They're pretty nice. In terms of augmenting, it's fairly straightforward. We're going crit for most of our augments. We've got 1 accuracy augment. Again, tactics is my primary spec, so we're definitely all in for crit. I would maybe look at trying to get 3% at least alacrity, just to speed up those dot ticks, okay? And again, it helps for energy management as well. Also, can help for bringing things off cooldown, like you might get an extra fire pulse out, which is quite nice. Again, it has a 10% chance extra to crit, so it has a 49% chance to crit. Our fire pulse, so again, getting that up to sort of 50%, then half your fire pulses will crit, but bear in mind 1 every minute will crit. I mean, it is a short cooldown, it is only 15-second cooldown, so bear that in mind. You can get quite a lot of them out in a minute. Want to use it on cooldown, obviously. I want to have that tracked. Shock strike generally on cooldown. High impact bolt when it auto crits after our shock strike generally. So the rotation priority, again, you can charge in, storm your way in, get your 2 dots up, plasmatize, the incendiary round, shock strike, high impact bolt. Then we're gonna hit an ion pulse because we get our crit bonus, and then hit a big free auto crit. Auto crit ion pulse is our goal. Obviously, we're gonna do this all under the cooldown of battle focus as well. Again, the target is susceptible. There it is. Damage from tech attacks increased. There you go. So what you want to do is put your dots up, and then of course our priority then is pulse cannon as a bit of filler. Bear in mind, pulse cannon also spreads our incendiary round. We're then probably going to refresh incendiary round as well. And then as a bit of filler, we can use mortar volley is a nice bit of filler, because the target will take extra area damage, 10%. It'll buff the damage of mortar volley by 10%, which is quite nice. Mortar volley is an area attack, so again we do want to hit mortar volley. Mortar volley is on cooldown. Generally we use ion pulse, so we'll go use that again. We'll dive in, pop your cell burst, dots up on the target, get a shock strike out, nice big auto crit ability, fire that off first, then fire that off for an auto crit. Then you want to get your target here. You see your target damage taken from area attacks increased. I would refresh the dot first. We should have refreshed our dot first. So bear in mind that you'll be refreshing this every time you go through this rotation, and this will be every second time on Plasmatize, because Plasmatize lasts 45 seconds. Also, if you're targeting AoE, your Plasmatize will jump to a target when it dies. Okay, so if target A dies, it will jump to target B, and say it has 10 seconds left on it, you'll get 10 seconds out of it on target B. So very, very useful. It is very good for Cleave. Your Cleave rotation is very, very similar to your normal rotation, in which you are going to generally replace Ion Pulse and Fire Pulse with Explosive Surge. That's the only real difference between it, really. So it is, you get in, what we're going to do is you charge in, find the strongest enemy generally, charge in, both dots, make sure when it comes to Cleave, we're going to pop 2 of these off, and make sure when it comes to Cleave that we still have our incendiary round up. And then Pulse Cannon, it spreads our incendiary round out, and then we're going to, of course, Mortar Volley, because all the targets will be overwhelmed, which is quite easy. That's why it's quite a very good Cleave spec. You can use your Sticky Grenade as well as a bit of filler to do a bit of extra Cleave damage there. But it tends, basically the difference is we don't use Ion Pulse, we use Explosive Surge. Now if you don't have the 6-piece set bonus, the only change to the rotation is you swap out Fire Pulse with Ion Pulse, because when you hit a Fire Pulse, your next Ion Pulse is free of energy cost. But however, if we have the 6-piece set bonus, we are using Ion Pulse first and then Fire Pulse, because we do want the auto crit. Okay, we want the automatic crit. You can see here it's just an automatic critical hit. It's evaded. So it becomes, so we do want to hit this first and then get this off during the pull, because it's very, very important that we do as much damage as possible during the pull. So we always want to swap these two out as well. And we also get the 2% extra damage bonus as well, which is nice. We get that on the shock strike, should be off cooldown by then, so we'll get it on the second shock strike rather than the first one. I just prefer it that way. You can use it either or, really. Doesn't really make a huge difference, because our shock strike that we get off, we need to try and make sure we get as many things off under battle focus as we can. Again, we don't get the big crit bonus that we got beforehand, but again, it's a fairly simple rotation actually. The biggest thing is just managing fire pulse, incendiary round. Fire pulse generally is quite a high priority ability. Shock strike want to keep on cooldown. High impact bolt we only use when it's an auto crit on cooldown. But other than that, and bear in mind your fire pulse makes your ion pulse free. Whenever it procs, pulse cannon, you can use mortar volley on cooldown after your pulse cannons. It does a little bit extra damage. Other than that, I'd say it's a little bit behind, certainly. If you look at the Infernal Council, which is kind of the best barometer of where a DPS spec is, you kill the Infernal Council a lot faster with tactics, certainly, and you do a lot more DPS. Again, it's just the uptime, but when you do get the target below 30% health, you do get 10% extra damage from our elemental attacks, which is nice, which is all our dots. Fire pulse obviously is an elemental. Anything that's got fire or ion or explosive, you know, tends to be a elemental attack. Okay, everything else is elemental. Plasmatech is elemental. Incendiary round elemental. Shock strike does do it deals damage and elemental damage, so it deals physical and elemental. It deals what 5.5k physical, and then 1,024 elemental as well. High impact bolt isn't an elemental, it's just a round that you fire at the target. You can also fill in with incendiary round. You'll see here we've got a chance to proc up, and there you go, we get a little dot proc there. Also it can proc off of high impact bolt as well, so incendiary round we can fill in a little bit with. Hammer shot, should we say, not incendiary round. So we do get the burning, which does a little bit of periodic damage, which is very, very little, to be honest. 644 per tick, it's not really a huge amount. But in terms of the spec, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. If we're doing a lot of cleave, again, you could argue Draxus maybe as well. Corruptor Zero as well, maybe you could use it on Corruptor Zero. Brontes, not really. It tends to be more of a target switching. Anything that involves target switching tactics generally is the superior, or single target, then I'd say tactics is the superior of the two. However, if we're doing cleave, then, you know, Revenant Commanders, Corruptor Zero, Brontes, this spec is pretty decent. If you can get, especially if your tanks can gather up all the adds, if they're quite good at that, then, you know, dot spread, use your ion pulse to spread out your incendiary round. It's quite nice actually, that. And again, your Plasmatech jumps automatically when the primary target dies. You can also for Bestia as well, use it on Bestia as well. That's pretty good there. You can again just keep dots up on Bestia, keep dots up on the monsters, and just go about your normal DPS rotation on the larva as well. So it's a good idea just to keep these things up. But anyway, that is all for this video. We'll take a look at melee DPS. That's the theme. We're going to take a look at, I think we'll take a look at the Marauder next. We'll take a look at the Fury Marauder. Leveled that up recently. We'll take a look at that next. So anyway, thank you for joining me for this video, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.